Today, the United States is recognized as the world's largest superpower, but this wasn't always the case. Before World War II, America showed little interest in becoming a major power. How then did the United States ascend to its current position of dominance after the war? The history of the last 2,000 years highlights each country's contribution to the global GDP. Before the 1800s, India and China were the leading superpowers for 1800 years, but after the 1900s, in just the last 100 years, the USA began to dominate and took a large share of the global GDP. How did this happen? Well, let's look at history. In 1492, Italian explorer Christopher Columbus discovered some Caribbean islands near North America. This led to European awareness and colonization of America, where Native Americans or Red Indians lived in numerous tribes. Spain colonized much of South America, now called Latin America, where Spanish is widely spoken. Britain, France, and Spain established colonies in North America around the 1600s, significantly reducing the Native American population by 80 to 90%, mainly due to diseases brought by the Europeans. On July 4, 1776, American revolutionaries declared independence from Britain, forming the United States of America. Significant growth occurred after 1850, with states like Florida, Illinois, and Ohio joining the USA instead of remaining British or Spanish colonies. Texas joined the USA in 1836 after gaining freedom from Mexico. The USA expanded its territory by buying Alaska from Russia in 1867 and annexing Hawaii in 1898. The USA also acquired by Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines from Spain in 1898. By the 1900s, the USA had grown significantly, boosting its economy and GDP. The World Wars took place in Europe, devastating countries like France, Germany, and the UK. Although the USA participated and lost soldiers, its economy remained strong and profited by selling weapons to European countries. As European currencies devalued, people bought US dollars, increasing their value. In 1944, 44 Allied countries linked their currencies to the US dollar, making it their international currency. Post-World War II, organizations like the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations were established, with America playing a key role. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade (GATT), founded in 1947, promoted international trade and globalization, later becoming the WTO in 1995. The World Wars, which devastated Europe and weakened its economies, provided a pivotal opportunity for the United States to assert its economic and military prowess on the world stage. As European nations struggled to recover from the devastation, America's industrial capacity boomed, fueled by wartime production and subsequent global trade dominance. The establishment of international financial institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, with significant American influence, solidified the United States' role as a linchpin of the post-war economic order. The Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union further solidified America's status as a superpower through initiatives like the Marshall Plan, which provided economic assistance to the war-torn Europe, and strategic alliances such as NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. America bolstered its influence across the globe, promoting capitalist ideologies and thwarting Soviet expansionism. Today, the US maintains its superpower status through a combination of economic, technological, and military supremacy, with a network of over 800 military bases worldwide and influential alliances like NATO. The US continues to shape global geopolitics domestically. However, challenges persist, including socio-economic disparities, healthcare affordability issues, and contentious debates over firearm regulation, highlighting the complexities and trade-offs inherent in superpower status. Internally, America's policies attract talent and innovation, leading to success stories like Kalpana Chawla, Satya Nadella, and Albert Einstein. Despite its superpower status, the USA faces challenges such as low home ownership rates, economic inequality, expensive healthcare, and high student debt. Additionally, lax gun laws have led to numerous mass shootings instead of prioritizing military spending. America could focus on citizens' well-being. Countries like Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, which prioritize human development, offer a higher quality of life than the USA, despite not being considered one of its superpowers. Since the end of World War II, the United States has stood a beacon of leadership in global institutions, forming strong bonds with allies who share its dedication to democracy and international stability. This leadership has defined much of the global landscape, marked by America's extensive military, economic, and diplomatic efforts to shape world affairs. Yet in recent years, a growing number of Americans have begun to question whether the country truly benefits from its vast international role. This skepticism is deeply rooted in the aftermath of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, which resulted in nearly 3,000 American lives lost and triggered long, costly wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. These conflicts, stretching over years with heavy financial and human costs, have left many disillusioned with US military interventions. Compounding these sentiments were the domestic hardships brought on by the 2007 financial crises and the subsequent recession. These events deepened doubts about the sustainability and wisdom of maintaining America's leading role on the global stage. During Barack Obama's presidency, early signs of this re-evaluation appeared, but it was under President Donald J. Trump that a drastic shift occurred. Trump's America First ideology questioned the value of long-standing alliances and international collaborations, reflecting a significant departure from previous policies. His administration's decisions, such as initiating the withdrawal from the World Health Organization during a global pandemic, exiting the Paris Agreement on climate change, and threatening to leave NATO, harkened back to an era of American isolationism, reminiscent of the post-World War I period. With the election of President Joe Biden, the US signaled another potential shift in its foreign policy. Biden's work to reverse many of Trump's policies, aiming to restore the US's leadership on the global stage, emphasizing the importance of strong alliances. Biden declared in his first foreign policy speech, "America is back." This message sought to reassure both domestic and international audiences of America's commitment to global leadership and cooperation. However, turning this declaration into reality is no simple task. The world today is vastly different from the one that emerged after World War II. China's rise as a global power, the erosion of democratic norms in various parts of the world, and unprecedented challenges such as climate change, economic volatility, public health crises, and security threats create a complex international environment. At home, the United States faces its own set of pressing issues, including the enduring impacts of a costly pandemic, ongoing racial injustices, economic inequality, and the rise of a far-right extremism. Amid these challenges, the future of US foreign policy is under intense scrutiny. The nature and scope of America's relationship with the world are subjects of heated debate as the nation navigates its role in an ever-evolving global and domestic landscape. The question remains, how can the United States balance its leadership aspiration with the pressing needs and concerns of its citizens? As the country seeks to redefine its place in the world, the question will undoubtedly shape the course of its future engagements on the global stage. Moreover, being the world's sole superpowers offer the US a unique set of advantages that impact both its global standing and the everyday lives of its citizens. One of the most significant benefits is enhanced security. The ability to conduct major military operations far from its borders means that the United States can address foreign threats on distant shores, keeping the devastating effects of war far away from American soil. This geographical safety has spared American cities and towns from the destruction seen in many parts of the world over the past 150 years, a privilege that Americans often take for granted. Another advantage of superpower status is the cushion of a large margin of error. With a robust and resilient economy, the United States can endure and recover from significant missteps that might cripple other nations. For instance, despite the controversial and costly war in Iraq or the financial turmoil during the Great Recession, the United States remains the wealthiest and most influential country globally. Its ability to weather such storms while retaining the support of numerous allies, including major world powers, underscores the unique position that it holds. Freedom of action is another critical benefit. The United States can choose its level of involvement in global affairs, unlike many other nations that must constantly react to threats in their immediate regions. While countries like Russia and China have pressing regional concerns such as NATO expansion or tensions in Hong Kong and Taiwan, the United States has the luxury of deciding where and when to engage. This strategic flexibility allows for a more calculated and selective approach to international relations. This freedom extends to American citizens as well. Traveling and conducting business internationally is markedly easier for Americans who benefit from the widespread use of English and the global dominance of the dollar. International trade and legal systems often mirror US practices, providing a familiar and advantageous environment for Americans abroad. Additionally, the US government's capacity to protect its citizens and their interests around the world further enhances this sense of security and privilege. Economically, the superpower status of the United States brings substantial perks. The dollar's role as the world's reserve currency means the other countries are eager to invest in the US debt, finding it a secure and profitable option. Financial banking helps sustain the US economy, while favorable trade and investment agreements open up global markets to American business. Furthermore, the allure of the United States attracts talented individuals from across the globe, continuously rejuvenating the US workforce with a steady influx of young, skilled immigrants. In essence, the value of being the world's sole superpower lies not just in the ability to project military might, but also in the myriad of ways it enriches the nation's security, economic stability, and global influence. These benefits, coupled with the ongoing influx of global talent, ensures that the United States remains a pivotal player on the world stage, shaping international norms and reaping the rewards of its dominant position. However, talking about the reason why the US will continue as the world's sole superpower stems from several factors. First, there's a lot of hype around the idea of China becoming a superpower. This hype benefits many groups. The Pentagon gets a bigger budget, the media sells more stories, authors sell more books, investment banks promote emerging market funds, and CEOs get the government to pay for job training instead of doing it themselves. These groups have a vested interest in exaggerating the threat from China to justify their agendas. Second, there's a psychological aspect. People tend to think the grass is greener on the other side. Americans often see their own country's problems more clearly than those in China, which can make China seem stronger in comparison. Finally, the usual ways we measure power, like GDP, military spending, and trade volumes, tend to make big countries like China and India look more powerful than they are. These measurements count the advantages of having a large population like a big workforce and army, but they don't account for the disadvantage. For example, China has the biggest economy and military, but it also has huge debts, high resource consumption, severe pollution, lots of poorly used infrastructure, a lot of wasted industrial capacity, scientific fraud, high internal security costs, ongoing border disputes, and many elderly and sick people. These problems are often ignored when people focus only on the big headline numbers. In simple terms, while many believe China is set to overtake the US as the next superpower, I see a different picture. The US has many strengths that aren't easily measured by simple statistics. It has a stable political system, a strong economy, and significant global influence. Moreover, the problems China faces are serious and could hinder its rise. So despite the common belief that China will soon become the dominant global power, the US is likely to maintain its position for the foreseeable future. This perspective considers the deeper issue and the complexities that come with China's rise, suggesting that the US might remain the world's leading superpower longer than many people think. In conclusion, the United States' journey from a nascent former colony to a global superpower is a testament to its relentless pursuit of expansion and influence on the world stage. Beginning with debate over territorial expansion after reaching the Pacific coast, the US eventually embraced its role as an imperial power propelled by the Industrial Revolution's economic demands. Key milestones such as the Spanish-American War in 1898 marked America's official entry onto the global stage, acquiring territories and asserting influence far beyond its borders. The aftermath of World War II solidified its position as the US emerged as a dominant economic and military power, shaping global institutions like the UN and the Bretton Woods system to foster stability and economic cooperation. Throughout the Cold War, competition with the Soviet Union spurred the US to expand its alliances and military presence worldwide, positioning itself as the leader of the Western Bloc against communism. Even after the Soviet Union's collapse, the US chose to maintain its global alliances and commitments, recognizing their importance in preserving peace and prosperity. Today, the United States remains unparalleled in its global reach, supported by a network of alliances and military bases that underpin its pivotal role in international affairs. However, uncertainties loom, particularly concerning potential shifts in the US foreign policy. The future will undoubtedly hinge on how America chooses to navigate its global responsibilities under evolving leadership. In essence, the trajectory of how the US became a superpower underscores not only its historical evolution, but also its enduring influence and responsibilities in shaping the world order.